Welcome back everyone on popular demand line by line explanation of the short story The Girl Who Can, written by Ama Aidoo. And dear students, very soon I'll be uploading the workbook solutions as well. For the time being, let's focus on the line by line explanation of this lesson, a one-shot session. Do check the pinned comment section for all important video links related to your syllabus. Ama Aidoo is a writer from Ghana, playwright and academic. This is significant. She was a minister of education. In The Girl Who Can, Aidoo analyzes African women's struggle to find their rightful place in society. Her stories raise issues of choice and conflict. Here, this story is centered around female empowerment. Aidoo expresses her concern regarding the lack of education opportunities for women in Africa of her time. And she was a minister of education. Being an administrator of education, she believed in its liberating force to give a new identity to all women. Women can liberate themselves only by the means of education. So education as a powerful weapon, as a powerful tool to overcome all hardships and overcome all obstacles of society. The Girl Who Can is the story of a girl who rises above the pressures of social criticism. We have social expectations, and the protagonist of this story rises above the pressures of social criticism. The story's protagonist is Aidoo, a little African girl who resides in a village in Ghana with her mother and grandmother. So in this household, we have three women, three female characters. Grandmother, an old grandmother, the mother, and Aidoo, a little African girl. Three generations. This is significant. This is Aidoo's struggle to find her rightful place in society despite her thin legs. She has thin legs, and therefore she is constantly told that they are no good for supporting hips meant for childbearing. A woman's role is to reproduce. Reproduction is her primary role. Therefore, in the society that Aidoo lived in, she had thin legs, and the thin legs were inappropriate for childbearing, and therefore she was constantly criticized for it. Aidoo's triumph proves that women have a greater role in society than merely being able to bear children. So reproduction is definitely an important aspect of a woman's life. But a woman can achieve greater things in life other than childbearing. And this story, Aidoo's triumph, bears testimony to this. So here, Aidoo has raised several important social issues. This story highlights the importance of a women-centric society, and we have a household where there are three female characters. She creates a young female athlete, Aidoo, who is the narrator of the story. Our protagonist is the narrator of her story. It is her story, and her interactions with her grandmother and mother constitute generational conflicts in the backdrop of a male-dominated world of sports. So we have generational conflict. We also have a male-dominated world of sports, debate between tradition and modernity, and also community life in Africa, in Ghana, in the village where this little girl was born. What are the other important themes in this short story? First, let us quickly try to understand the themes. Write down theme number 1, gender roles and expectations, social expectations. And then there is empowerment and self-acceptance. This is also another theme. Theme number 3 is generation gap. Theme number 4, value and importance of education. Theme number 5, communication and understanding. So effective communication is hindered in the household because of the generation gap. And transformation and change is another important theme of this short story. We are going to understand this short story from the perspective of these themes. Now let us quickly start the line by line explanation. The Girl Who Can, the title is significant, meaningful, suggestive. Who is the girl? She is the protagonist, she is the narrator, and she is a girl child in a male-dominated society. The girl who can, her ability. What can she do? Yes, she can overcome all obstacles of life and she can emerge as a winner. And we will see exactly that in this short story. Let us read. They say that I was born in Hasodzi and it is a very big village in the central region of our country, Ghana. They also say that when all of Africa is not choking under a drought, Hasodzi lies in a very fertile lowland in a district known for its good soil, fertile soil. Maybe that is why anytime I don't finish eating my food, Nana, the grandmother says, you Adjoa, you don't know what life is about. Life is about struggles. People die out of starvation and hunger. But here in the village, the soil is fertile and there is no scarcity of food. You don't know what problems there are in this life. So as a child, you are still innocent, unaware of the serious problems of life. The narrator is just a 7-year-old girl and she introduces herself right at the beginning as an African child born in the village of Hasodzi, which is a fairly fertile land compared to the rest of Africa. As far as I could see, there was only one problem and it had nothing to do with what I knew Nana considered as problems or what mother thinks of as the problem, the bigger issues of life, the more serious problems of life. As a child, she is naive, she is innocent and she does not know much about the struggles and hardships of life and survival. Only adults know what the real problems are. But as a child, she has her own worry. She has her own problem. And what is it? Mommy is my mother. Nana is my mother's mother. And they say, I am 7 years old and my problem is that at this 7 years of age, there are things I can think in my head, but which maybe I do not have the proper language to speak them out with. And that I think it is a very serious problem. Because it is always difficult to decide whether to keep quiet. She is a confused child. This is the generation gap. Adults consider her naive, innocent and unable to express herself properly and not say any of the things that come into my mind or say them and get laughed at. Not that it is easy to get any grown-up to listen to you even when you decide to take the risk and say something serious to them. So this is her problem. This is the lack of communication in the household. It is easy to get any grown-up to listen to you even when you decide to take the risk and say something serious to them. So there is this generational gap between the adults, the grown-ups and the children. In this case, it is the problem faced by Adjoa. She cannot express her thoughts and feelings openly. She fears repercussions. She fears being the butt of the jokes of the adults. Take Nana. First, I have to struggle to catch her attention. First, what is the first step? The first step is to catch Nana's attention. She's always busy. Then I tell her something I had taken a long time to figure out, and at the age of 7, she takes a pretty long time to figure out, to understand, to analyze things around her. And then, you know what always happens? What is Nana's usual reaction? She would once stop whatever she is doing and mouth open, stare at me for a very long time, trying to grasp the words uttered by Aidoo. Then bending and turning her head slightly so that one ear comes down towards me, she will say in that voice, "Aidoo, you say what?" After I have repeated whatever I had said, she would either still in that voice ask never, never, but never to repeat that, or she would immediately burst out laughing. So this makes Aidoo very confused. She is puzzled. She is puzzled to see the reaction of Nana. At one point of time, she is really serious, and in a authoritative voice, she asks her never, never, never to repeat a particular thing, or she would immediately burst out laughing. She would laugh and laugh and laugh. She would not take her seriously at all, and she would laugh until tears run down her cheeks, until she started to cry. And she would stop whatever she is doing and wipe away the tears with the hanging edges of her cloth. This is the observation of Aidoo. She is a perceptive child and she observes minutest details. Here she is describing the reaction of Nana in minute details, in a very detailed manner, and she would continue laughing until she is completely tired. But then, as soon as another person comes by, just to make sure she doesn't forget whatever it was I had said, so the words of Aidoo is hardly important. Nana has to make an attempt to remember the words, and before forgetting those words, she shares those words with another grown-up. She would repeat it herself. This is the hypocrisy of the grown-ups. She is asking Aidoo never to repeat that, and again Nana is repeating the same thing. And then of course there would be two old people laughing and screaming with tears running down their faces. Weird reactions. Sometimes this show continues, so this is a show for Aidoo. A weird show, a weird display of emotions by the adults, the grown-ups. Continues until there are 3, 4 or even more of such laughing and screaming, tear-faced grown-ups. And all that performance on whatever I had said. Nana did not take her seriously at all, but that very thing was a source of entertainment for so many adults for such a long period of time. She has to struggle really hard to draw the attention of Nana. But when Nana discusses whatever she has said to her, whatever Aidoo has said to her, she attentively tells that to her other friends, grown-up friends, and they spend a pretty long time discussing that thing. If that thing is so stupid, if she has uttered so much stupidity, such incoherent words, then why are the adults involving themselves in discussing that? So this is a source of confusion to this little girl child. I find something confusing in all this. That is, no one ever explains to me, no one bothers to explain things to her. She has to figure out herself, and when she does that, when she figures out things, the adults don't pay any attention. Why sometimes I shouldn't repeat some things I say, while at other times some other things I say would not only be alright but would be considered so funny they would be repeated so many times for so many people's enjoyment, source of entertainment for the adults. But to her, this is really confusing, puzzling. You see how neither way of hearing me out can encourage me to express my thoughts too often. So this is a conflict. She desires to express her thoughts, but she cannot express her thoughts openly. She hesitates to openly share her thoughts, often due to the fear of negative reactions, such as being laughed at or being told never to repeat what she had said. So perhaps there is a sense of disconnect and frustration in Aidoo regarding this. She struggles to express her thoughts, and this at times impacts her interactions with others. And this also perhaps creates a sense of isolation and longing for more meaningful engagement. And she cannot achieve that with the adults. Like all this business to do with my legs. I have always wanted to tell them not to worry, but who will listen? Nobody will listen to her. I mean Nana and my mother. She wants to tell Nana, grandmother, and her mother not to worry about her legs. That it did not have to be an issue for my two favorite people to fight over. There are discussions and disagreements in the household related to Aidoo's legs. And to Aidoo, this is completely unnecessary. But she cannot convince them. Do not be so worried about my legs. These are just my legs, perfect fine legs. But I didn't want either to be told not to repeat that, or it might be considered so funny that anyone would laugh at me until they cried. Again, here she fears repercussions, and therefore she does not express her thoughts openly. She wants to tell them, do not worry, but she fears that the reaction will be different. She will face a negative reaction. The adults, mother, the other grown-ups, grandmother will perhaps tell her not to repeat that, or they may find it so funny that anyone would laugh at me until they cried. She would become a butt of jokes of the grown-ups. After all, they were my legs, so this is disappointment, this is helplessness. Biologically, the legs belong to Aidoo, and the adults are continuously fighting and disagreeing over her legs. What is the use of all this? When I think back on it now, those two, Nana and my mother, must have been discussing my legs from the day I was born. So since time immemorial, since the time I was born, perhaps they have been discussing my legs only. What I'm sure of is that when I came out of the land of sweet, soft silence, alliteration, into the world of noise and comprehension, into this world, into the outer world, land of sweet, soft silence, mother's womb. When I came out of mother's womb, into the world, into the outside world, after birth, into the world of noise and comprehension, understanding, knowledge of life, the first topic I met was my legs. So, the central conflict of this story revolves around Aidoo's legs. Legs are symbolic. That discussion was repeated very regularly. Nana, you know Kaya, I thank my God that your very first child is female. But Kaya, I am not sure about her legs. So legs are cause of concern for the grandmother. And Nana would shake her head in disappointment. She's sad. Why? Mommy, mother, why are you always complaining about Aidoo's legs? If you ask me, they are too thin and I am not asking you. Observe the relationship between mother and grandmother. Nana is a strong and authoritative woman. She is the matriarch in this all-women household. She is vocal. She expresses her thoughts openly and sternly. But mother, she is less vocal, a little submissive. So Nana interrupts her. Mother tries to defend Adjoa. Mother tries to tell, why are you complaining about Adjoa's legs? They are all right. There is no problem. But according to Nana, they are too thin, and I am not asking you. She is in no mood to listen to her own daughter. Relationship between grandmother and mother. So there is a distance between the two. Nana has many voices. So Adjoa knows the different voices, different reactions, different implications based on the context. There is a special one she uses to shut everyone up. Authoritarian, a strict woman. She shuts everyone up with a special tone, with a special voice, and being perceptive, being observant, Adjoa knows what is that voice. Some people have no legs at all. My mother would try again with her small courage. Less vocal, a little submissive, a little passive. She is a single mother, living with her own mother in her household. Therefore, she is a little passive. But she keeps on trying to defend Adjoa and her legs. She gives one argument after the other in order to support. Nana simply doesn't listen. Why? Because she has a traditional mindset. She has been socially conditioned into believing in certain gender stereotypes, and there are societal pressures, societal expectations. And Nana, being a matriarch living in rural Ghana, she has to abide by the predetermined social rules and regulations. She will never neglect her duty to preserve those traditions, to follow those traditions. But Adjoa has legs, Nana would insist, except that they are too thin. This is the point of criticism. And also too long. The second point of criticism for a woman. Gender stereotype. Kaya, listen. Once in a while, but only once in a very long time, while somebody decides, nature, a child spirit mother, an accident happens and somebody gets born without arms or legs or both sets of limbs, and then let me touch wood. It is a sad business. If somebody is born with a disability, if a woman is born with a disability, then it is a sad business. And you know, such things are not for talking about every day, but these things are rare. But if any female, this is significant, if any female child decides to come into this world with legs, then they might as well be legs, proper legs. What is the meaning of this? What kind of legs? And always at that point I knew from her voice that my mother was weeping inside. Emotions of mother, her helplessness to protect, to defend her daughter. She also does not like her daughter being criticized. Nana is constantly cribbing about Adjoa's legs, her too thin legs and too long legs. And Adjoa, she is perceptive and she makes out that her mother is weeping inside. Emotional turmoil, internal struggles of mother. This shows the emotional bond between the mother and the daughter. Nana never heard such inside weeping because she is too preoccupied with gender stereotypes and social norms and regulations. Her traditional mindset has created a barrier, a distance between Nana and Mommy. Not that it would have stopped Nana even if she had heard it. She just wants to abide by all the rules and regulations, the orthodox rules and regulations, which always surprised me because, after all, Nana is Mommy's mother. Therefore, she must understand the feelings, the emotions of Mommy, but she is unable to do that because about almost everything else apart from my legs, Nana is such a good grown-up. There is absolutely no problem with Nana. She is a good grandmother. She is a good woman. Why is she so preoccupied with her legs, with Aidoo's legs? This one aspect of her grandmother, Aidoo dislikes very much. This also confuses this girl child. Nana is such a good grown-up. In any case, what do I know about good grown-ups and bad grown-ups? How could Nana be a good grown-up when she carried on so about my legs? All I want to say is that I really liked Nana except for that. This is one area which is a problem in the household. This causes conflict. This is the root cause of the conflict in the household. Otherwise, everything is fine. The three female characters, they are completely fine, living together happily. But on this point, when it comes to Aidoo's legs, Nana seems to be so obsessed. Nana, as I keep saying, if any woman decides to come into this world with all of her 2 legs, then she should select legs that have meat on them. This is a biological fact. How can somebody come to this world with meat on the legs? Biologically, human beings they have their own framework. It is not possible for them to select what will be their physical attributes. But according to Nana, it is the duty of every woman coming into this world to select legs that have meat on them with good calves. This shows the obsession of Nana. Because you are sure such legs would support solid hips. And a woman must have solid hips to be able to have children. Now this is the moot point. This is the central point. Nana believed that a woman should have legs with meat on them, that is good calves, because such legs would support strong hips, solid hips. According to her, a woman must have solid hips to be able to have children. Here Nana sees legs as a determining factor in a woman's ability to fulfill her reproductive duties, implying that the value of legs lies primarily in their role in childbirth and the continuity of family lineage. A woman who is born into this world must bear children, must reproduce, and in order to reproduce, she must have strong legs. This is significant. This is the gender stereotype. In this way, legs become a symbol. Legs are symbolic. Oh mother, that's how my mother would answer. Very, very quietly, and the discussion would end or they would move on to something else. Sometimes Nana would pull in something about my father. How, looking at such a man, we have to be humble and admit that after all, God's children are many. How, after one's only daughter had insisted on marrying a man like that, you still have to thank your God that the biggest problem you got later was having a granddaughter with spindly legs that are too long for a woman and too thin to be of any use. Whatever be the discussion, whatever be the subject of discussion, everything boils down to Aidoo's long legs and thin legs. Sometimes Nana would pull in something about my father, how, looking at such a man, we have to be humble and admit that after all, God's children are many. How, after one's only daughter has insisted on marrying a man like that, you still have to thank your God that the biggest problem you got later was having a granddaughter with spindly legs that are too long for a woman and too thin to be of any use. Here, Nana's remark about Aidoo's mother's decision to marry her daughter suggests that Aidoo's father was considered by her to be someone whom she viewed as less than desirable. She did not approve of the match. Aidoo's father might have not been a favorable choice for Aidoo's mother. And here, Nana feels that Aidoo's father is to a certain level responsible for Aidoo's legs. Aidoo's legs, the appearance of her legs are related to her father's characteristics, and this also makes Nana worried about Aidoo, and she is constantly cribbing about Aidoo's legs. The way she always added that bit about my father under her breath, she probably thought I didn't hear it, but I always heard it. Aidoo always heard this. She has known this throughout, that Nana disapproved of her father, was dissatisfied with him. Plus, that is what always shut my mother up for good. Helplessness of the mother. Being a single mother, she is helpless. So that even if I had not actually heard the words, once my mother looked like even her little courage was finished, I could always guess what Nana had added to the argument. Nana always brings up this aspect of Aidoo's father into all arguments. Legs that have meat on them with good calves to support solid hips to be able to have children. So, again, this is the central conflict. According to Nana, a female child, a woman must bear children to carry forward the family lineage, and in order to do that, she must have strong legs, solid hips, good calves. So I wish that one day I would see for myself the legs of any woman who had children. But in our village that is not easy. The older women wear long wraparounds all the time. Perhaps if they let me go bathe in the river in the evening, I could have checked. But I never had the chance. It took a lot of begging just to get my mother and Nana to let me go splash around in the shallow end of the river with my friends who were other little girls like me. For proper baths, we used the small bathhouse behind our hut. Therefore, the only naked female legs I have ever really seen are those of other little girls like me, and they are similar. Her legs and the legs of other girls are more or less similar, or older girls in the school, and those of my mother and Nana, 2 pairs of legs. That is what you need. Biologically, you need 2 pairs of legs in order to move about from one place to another. 2 pairs of legs which must surely belong to the approved kind, because Nana gave birth to my mother and my mother gave birth to me. So perhaps they had solid hips. In my eyes, all my friends have got good legs, that look like legs. But whether, so all of them have legs. She also has legs that look like legs, 2 pairs of legs. The legs have got meat on them to support the kind of hips that I don't know. So here she is puzzled. According to the older boys and girls, the distance between our village and the small town is about 5 kilometers. I don't know what 5 kilometers mean. They always complain about how long it is to walk to school and back. It is a tiring journey. It is a long journey back to school, back from school and going to school. But to me, we live in our village and walking those kilometers didn't matter. School is nice. School is another thing Nana and my mother discussed often and appeared to have different ideas about. Nana thought it would be a waste of time. What is the need of sending a girl child to school? According to Nana, her predetermined social rules and norms, the gender stereotypes once again at play. I never understood what she meant. My mother seemed to know and disagreed. Again, there is disagreement in the household. She kept telling Nana that she, that is my mother, felt she was locked into some kind of darkness of ignorance. So, this is a kind of darkness, this is ignorance due to lack of education because she didn't go to school. So that if I, her daughter, could learn to write and read my own name and a little besides, perhaps be able to calculate some things on paper, that would be good. I could always marry later and maybe, well, this is against the gender stereotypes, the traditional mindset of Nana. According to mother, the cause of all her problems is perhaps her lack of education, and she does not want her daughter to suffer this darkness, this kind of darkness of ignorance. She here highlights the importance of education in liberating women, emancipation of women through education. Education is a very important tool, and only education can elevate your thoughts and ideas and can liberate you, can give you freedom from the shackles of the so-called social norms and traditions. Nana would just laugh. Maybe with legs like hers, she might as well go to school. A disadvantage, thin legs. Another disadvantage, going to school and acquiring education. Who will marry her? Running with our classmates on a small sports field and winning first place each time never seemed to me to be anything about which to tell anyone at home. She is quite casual about her winning races. She has thin legs. Despite this, she keeps on winning races. This time it was different. She never mentions about her wins at home. But this time it was different. I don't know how the teachers decided to let me run for the junior section of our school in the district games. She is representing her school in the district games. But they did. And this is also a cause of surprise. This is surprising to Joa. When I went home to tell my mother and Nana, she is selected for participating in the race in the district games, and she runs home to share this piece of information with grandmother and mother. They had not believed it at first, so Nana had taken it upon himself to go and ask into it properly. She came home to tell my mother that it was really true. I was one of my school's runners, the girl with the thin legs. Is that so? Exclaimed my mother. I know her. Her mouth moved as though she was going to tell Nana that after all, there was a secret about me she couldn't be expected to share with anyone. But then Nana looked so pleased. Out of surprise, my mother shut her mouth up. In any case, since the first time they heard the news, I have often caught Nana staring at my legs. She is now perplexed with a strange look on her face. How can this be? The thin legs. How can she become a runner using those thin legs? But still pretending like she was not looking. All this week, she has been washing my school uniform herself. That is a big surprise. This is the transformation in Nana. She approves inwardly of the achievement of her granddaughter. She herself washes her school uniform. And she didn't stop at that. She even went to Mr. Mensha's house and borrowed his charcoal pressing iron each time, came back home with it, and ironed and ironed and ironed the school uniform until, if I had been the uniform, I would have said aloud that I had had enough. So this is humor, exaggeration. She keeps on ironing the uniform so much that even the uniform will now cry out, I have had enough. Wearing my school uniform this week has been very nice. At the parade, the first afternoon, it caught the rays of the sun and shone brighter than everybody else's uniform, properly washed and ironed. And this also shows the acceptance of Nana, Nana's acceptance of Adjoa completely without any cribbing. I'm sure Nana saw that too and must have liked it. This is Nana's pride, sense of pride for Adjoa, because she is participating in the race. The glow comes from that sense of pride and accomplishment. Yes, she has been coming into town with us every afternoon of this district sports week. Each afternoon, she has pulled one set of fresh old clothes from the big brass bowl to wear. And those old clothes are always so stiffly starched, you can hear the cloth creak when she passes by. But she walks way behind us school children, as though she was on her own way to some place else. She maintains a distance. The school children walk in front of her and she follows them. Yes, I have won every race I ran in for my school. Ironically, she uses her 2 legs, those very thin legs, to win the races. In fact, every race she ran in for my school, and I have won the cup for the best all-round junior athlete. So this is the triumph of Adjoa. Yes, Nana said that she didn't care if such things are done. She would do it. You know what she did? She carried the gleaming cup, the shining cup, on her back, like they do with babies and other very precious things. And this time, not taking the trouble to walk by herself. When we arrived in our village, she entered our compound to show the cup to my mother before going to give it back to the headmaster. She is basking in pride. She is basking in glory. She is so happy for her granddaughter. And this is strange. And this is, again, quite confusing to Adjoa. Oh, the grown-ups are so strange. Nana is right now carrying me on her knee and crying softly, muttering that thin legs can also be useful. This is the transformation, that even though some legs don't have much meat on them to carry hips, they can run. Thin legs can run. Then who knows? Here is a shift in her perspective. Initially, she feels skeptical and sees attending school as a potential waste of time for Adjoa because of her traditional mindset. However, as the story progresses, it seems that her view of education evolves, which is reflected in her actions. She is seen washing Adjoa's school uniform, accompanying her to the race, accompanying her to the town during her district sports week. And the triumph, the win of Adjoa challenges Nana's traditional mindset. And she is a dynamic character and she changes. She shows her support for Adjoa's participation in the district games by personally preparing her school uniform. So this is a surprising gesture from Nana. And when she wins the race, she happily carries the trophy. She is filled with a sense of pride. So this is the change in mindset. While carrying Nana on her knee and muttering softly, Nana mentions that even though some legs do not have much meat on them, they can still be useful. And this implies the possibility that thin legs can possess their own strengths and ability. This suggests a newfound appreciation for Adjoa's legs and an acknowledgement that their appearance did not define their worth or potential. I don't know too much about such things, but that's how I was feeling and thinking all along. That surely one should be able to do other things with legs. Legs are not just there to support your solid hips. As a woman, you can achieve greater things in life. Your ability to reproduce is not your only identity. You can achieve a lot in life as well as have them because they can support hips that make babies, except that I was afraid of saying that sort of thing aloud because someone would have told me never, never, but never to repeat such words, or else they would have laughed so much at what I would say, they would have cried again. The reaction, the dismissive reactions of the adults. It's much better this way to have acted it out to show them. Although I could not have planned it, she did not plan this. And she has made the adults realize the fact that legs are not just there to support your hips, but legs metaphorically symbolize emancipation from the shackles of orthodox mindset. As for my mother, she has been speechless as usual, less vocal. So this is the story. This shows the importance of self-belief, resilience, and this also shows that despite social expectations and challenges, you can aspire for greater things. Adjoa's journey demonstrates the power of believing in oneself and pursuing one's dreams even in the face of criticism or doubt from others. This story explores the influence of cultural traditions and social beauty standards, and it encourages readers to question and challenge social norms. Therefore, we have a message of women empowerment, the value of self-discovery, and staying true to one's identity and aspirations.